how we know it would work. There we go. Because
Future reference.
Future reference. Because last time was a rehearsal. Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Podcast 1 2.0 right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to MousePad's podcast. My name is Josh, and this here is.
I'm Alex.
And for all you listening to just audio, I am sorry, because sometimes I'm going to be talking with my hands and you're not going to be able to see that. But that being said, thank you for chiming in, joining in. This has been a long time coming. I've been building this for a while and kind of have been stubbing my toe every time I go. But it happens. And then we tried doing a recording 2 days ago, right? Was it? It was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm already kind of losing my mind. But yeah, 2 days ago, and lo and behold, we forgot to hit record.
I forgot. I'm a little goofy butthead.
It happens. But I originally did a filming with another content creator that is I say he's no longer with us. He's fine. He's just not with our team anymore. But that was kind of more of an interview on myself. And so I'm going to call that podcast episode 0, just to kind of make that simplified. So this is episode 1. Hey, welcome everybody. All right, now that awkwardness is out of the way. The podcast, there's gonna be a lot of things happening with MousePad. We're gonna do playthroughs. We're gonna have reviews. We're gonna talk about the news cycle every now and then with something I call Quickie Leaks. Then we have the game playthroughs, kind of a Game Grump style that we're gonna call Gag Order Gaming. Stuff like that. But the podcast is just going to be us, and probably more people down the road, but this is kind of a experimental thing as we're going along. But yeah, we're just going to talk about kind of what's latest happening with games, tech, and culture, and maybe all those, maybe only one of those, depending on how boring or exciting the news cycle is. But I will let you take over, Alex, as what happened with Ubisoft.
So, as we're mostly excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows, unfortunately, there was a little sneak in there taking some hard copies and just giving them away. So there are unofficial, not fully contented discs just hanging out. People are playing it, people are streaming it. And there's all kinds of goofy stuff going on because it's not a finished copy of the game.
So it's an older build?
Yeah, it was from I think the disc got made it was weeks or months ago. They're not finished, period.
And I've seen some gameplay out there and it looks pretty bad.
It's broken.
It's not just broken, because what I've seen, it looks like it's completed, but it looks like it was completed in 2012. And I mean that with love and not love at the same time, because I'm just not every game needs to be good at everything, right? I'm not expecting to plug in Mario Brothers and have the most intense story, despite the memes. That's something we're not touching that.
Come on, he's rescuing the princess.
Oh my gosh, I'm so done. My necklace is screwing with me. Anyway, but yeah, no. Ubisoft has been dropping the ball a lot, and this is kind of. I don't know what is happening up there. I want to be a fly on the wall of their boardroom meetings of either how can we recover from this, or I go and I'm a fly on the wall and I just hear someone go, okay, how else can we make ourselves look bad? To get it's kind of like you hit your hand so your knee stops hurting. You ever heard of that phrase?
Yep.
You're like, oh man, I hurt really bad. I better cause another type of pain so that I don't notice the other pain. Is that what's happening right now? Because they're just dealing with so much controversy and issues. Oh my lord. And me and you, we're both Assassin's Creed fans.
We really are. We both have our favorites. We could literally go on for hours, and we have, about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Almost like we have a problem. But
no, it's just a fascination.
Yeah. But it is true, and that's kind of why we're bringing this up, especially with me and Alex. Is while there are some people who hyperfixate on the whole Yasuke controversy, and we're not going to go into that too hard. This is more, we're just going to use it as a reference because you can't avoid it. I'll just brush past it real fast so that we can just go ahead and say that we touched on it. There is controversy of whether or not he was a full-fledged samurai. Records back then were not kept the way that we take records now. And the people who had originally pitched that Yasuke was a samurai, it has turned out that they had misled the public and are now hiding from the public. So whether it's true or not, I don't personally care. I think a lot of people who just love art don't care. People who care about historical accuracy, I understand. And culturally, I can understand why that might be an issue if you are we'll call it purist. All right, we had a little technical issue, but it's fixed now. That seems to be a running joke right now, happening is technical difficulties, but it's fine. We're
powering through. Power
through, exactly. So we were talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows and how Ubisoft has kind of not dropped the ball, not done their best work. I was talking about the Yasuke incident, and I'm going to go briefly on this. It has come to my attention that the person who originally did the research into Yasuke, because back then records were not kept the same that they are now, for obvious... Anyone can do their own research, they can dive into it and how that looks. But the original person who brought up Yasuke and brought up his historical relevance of being a samurai and wielding a sword and having armor and a shogun's blessing might have made it up and is now hiding from the public. Now, I might be wrong. This is all stuff that I've just heard. It's hearsay. But it's so rampant that it just takes off on a life of its own. So if I am fully acknowledging that I do not know everything, I do not know 100% how this works. What I do know is that no matter how you look at it, Ubisoft has not done the best job at their own research. They have been accused of using Chinese architecture and calling it Japanese. They have taken a battle reenactment group's banner without their permission. It was a musket squad that replicated, because yes, muskets existed while Japan was wielding samurai armor. So when you'll see that, in fact, watch Shogun. Random plug, but really that should fill in some gaps. But they're just...
Don't forget the advertisement they did for Boba.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the advertisement they did for Boba, which
is Taiwanese.
Yeah, they said it was Japanese, but then in the meme they're like, "Oh, this is actually Korean," and then Alex informed me, he's like, "It's not Korean, it's originally Thai." I'm like,
Boba originated in Taiwan.
I'm like, this is the equivalent of dumb racist American thinking that everything that speaks Spanish must be Mexican.
So, everything in an Asian vicinity is Asian.
It's all Japanese, absolutely. Which is hilarious because Ubisoft is Canadian, and I think that's the icing on the cake, is that people are just going, just racist Americans being racist, and it was like, that's not even us. Oh Lord. And that's the sad part, is like there's a lot of good that I can see happening in this game. I think everything when it comes to the actual ninja, I think everyone's motivations are there. Yasuke just looks like it's based out of honor. In fact, from what I've heard, they've actually made most of his content now optional. Which, ouch, I bet that voice actor feels horrible. Because I don't want the people at the bottom rung to be hurt here, but this is more so, hey, you guys were supposed to do oversight, you didn't do it. And And you're not really helping any sort of activism cause by making it look like that was your priority instead of telling a good story, and secondly, being as historically accurate as possible. Because when people go, oh, Assassin's Creed isn't historically accurate, well, what about, so, and Mark. So, we're talking about controversy and historical accuracy. Sorry, we had another technical issue. But games are meant to be embellishments of reality. They're not like no one plays a video game like I am not bashing or insulting people who are into sports games, because I will never be an NFL player. I will never be a NASCAR driver. That being said, when I was younger, I would use the phrase, why would I play those games when I can go outside and do similar activities? Like I said, when I was younger and a little more brash, and but there is a layer of like, oh, well, I want to play Halo because I want to shoot aliens, I want to play GTA because I want to be a crime lord, without hurting anybody. And I wanted to play, say, Ghost of Tsushima because I wanted to be a samurai. Well, I want to play Assassin's Creed because I want to be, well, to pick your era. My personal favorite too, while kind of doxing myself here, I should love Assassin's Creed 3. Let's just say that. I should love that because everywhere around my home is nothing but historical crap. But I personally love the Ezio saga, and I have a huge fondness for Black Flag with, oh my gosh, why can I not think of his first name?
Richard?
Kenway.
Wasn't it Richard?
No.
No.
Richard was the most feared pirate there.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh.
Edward?
Yes, thank you.
There we go.
I don't know why. It's because I just call him by his last name most of the time. But yeah, no, Edward Kenway and his saga, because I think they're two very different sagas. While Ezio, which is Renaissance Italy, is more so about the world and the conspiracy and all that, Edward Kenway is much more of a personal dissection of his story. Can you hear Remy in the background?
I can hear Remy squeaking.
My dog is going to be squeaking in the background. I'm so sorry, but I am not telling him to stop. I mean, I can. Give me two. Well, not tell him to stop. I'm just going to shut my door.
Or give him a different toy.
Working with the puppies. And that's what's nice about recordings, is you get to do
editing.
Exactly. So it's not like Ubisoft has to be super, super accurate in life, because, I mean, in Ezio, you're best friends with Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. But at the same time, there is like a standard that they've set thus far that we are going to expect, and they haven't met it as far as I'm concerned.
No. Like, they kept raising the bar. Did you ever play Unity?
Yes, I didn't finish it, but I got pretty far, I believe.
Okay. So I need to say this as accurately as possible, or else I'm gonna look like a fool. Notre Dame Cathedral. Okay, burned down in real life.
Yeah.
Okay. Assassin's Creed Unity was so accurate with their building scale model that they used Assassin's Creed Unity, the model of Notre Dame, to rebuild Notre Dame.
Oh, for like the actual construction?
The actual construction.
What?
And it wasn't like a weird, like, oh, look at video games, they don't have the resources. No, it was already, they had already done their research. Ubisoft had actually created a perfectly scale model of Paris. Like, when you play other Assassin's Creed games and you're in a city, yes, you're in the city, as I put air quotes up. And there are sectors sections of the city. There are districts in that city where like, okay, pretty good, pretty accurate. But when you like look at an airplane view on YouTube of what the city is, you're like, oh, that's a lot bigger. But one, this is Paris in 1830 something. I'm probably getting dates wrong, but cities expand as like time goes on. So it's not like they were making modern Paris, with suburbs included. But it was definitely it was a feat. It was a feat.
Honestly, that just makes me like really want to like have people across the world in these locations like take go to the locations where you can synchronize and just like take a little landscape picture.
Well, they did.
I'm sure they have. Like, I just want like modern day
No, they
like
have
modern.
With some of them. They've gone. So when you play Assassin's Creed 2, your home base is.
Well, no, I know that you mean that in like the sense of modern, but I mean like today, because like even like when 2 came out, like that was how long ago, and so like just in that time, I'm sure things have changed. So it's like it would just be like a cool thing that I would like to see.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to cut you off.
No. I know you mean like modern, but I mean like today.
Like right now. But it's one thing to do different scales and to based off your limitations or scope of a game, because you should look into how they made the Spider-Man game from the new Marvel Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 1. They make it look like it's a lot bigger than it is, because they don't need to make every single 3-dimensional model if the camera's not looking at it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just a secret in gaming. And so I'm not telling them they have to render everything perfectly, but one, you render famous buildings perfectly already that are not an insult to the Japanese culture, a lot more curved and dynamic and very, very, very detailed. Like, I mean, Gothic architecture is it's something different, okay? Every culture has their own thing. Gothic architecture is just so ridiculously detailed. It blows my mind that they're like, oh yeah, let's chisel random statues that are only like 3 inches big at the top of a cathedral that no one is going to see. And that's how they did it. And if you can do that, and you can't even get the region right, like you put Chinese architecture in Japanese cities.
Like, hey, this looks cool. People associate this with Asia. Let's throw it in there.
And that's sad, but it's the level of incompetence that people are just going, look, there's a difference between... Okay, it'd be one thing if it was a very stylized anime-esque like game and they just throw a lot of different Asian cultures in there at once, and it's not historically accurate at all. It's just meant to be its own fictional story. Sure, people might gripe and say, well, that's not part of this culture. I'm like, okay, well, there's a dragon flying above. I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, like, when fiction is fiction, you just let it go. When I say fiction, I mean, like, pure fantasy. Because this is supposed to be historical fiction. And the idea of historical fiction is it's a real setting with a fictional story, or a story where you take realistic real people and you embellish their story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think what's the most... I know Assassin's Creed history, and I think it's actually Assassin's Creed 3 that's probably the most, quote, historical accurate, because some of the things that you do in that game were not one assassin, but like a rebel hit squad. Like, dead accurate. Like, there's actually the Battle of Bunker Hill. There was ships that were bombarding the hill from the sea, the river. And when you play the game, you literally, really cool scene, you run through the city as it's being blasted by cannon fire, and then dive into the water and sneak aboard a ship, and then light some gunpowder up and cut down a flag. Not in that order, but that really did happen. Now, what actually happened was, while everyone's like blasting, because in video games they did not, like, smoke particle effects take a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but in real life, if anyone's ever seen a musket fire, let alone a cannon, it is a gigantic amount of smoke. And so you can't see crap, okay? And then that smoke is now wafting over the water. And so what happened is that in the late afternoon, rebels, Americans, got into rowboats or swam, depending on how you want to take it. But it was mercenary / buccaneer style fighting where they went behind the ships because all the ships essentially moved all their cannons to one side and were blasting. And so everyone was just focused on the city and anyone trying to fire back. No one's looking behind them.
They got blinders on.
They got blinders on, and also they got drunk vision on because they have so much smoke in their face. And this was a common problem. Like, this is why friendly fire happened, because you would just see sparks happening and then a bunch of smoke, and then you're like, I guess that's a bad guy. Let's just
boom.
And so yeah, that really did happen. So like there are scenes, and like sure, like there's plenty of stuff in the Assassin's Creed games where they're like, oh yes, this person died this way, and we're gonna reenact that sort of. But it's usually like bonus content, as in like your bonus objective is to kill them exactly this way, which is supposed to be like accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also scenes in Assassin's Creed 3 where you jump out of a tree and kill one of the guys as a major
Or just like from like the roof.
From like the roof, and you're just like, your legs would shatter, and you're telling me that's how that person died?
I'm just laying on your back.
Yourself. Like, I'm not believing that 2 seconds. But like I said, there are actually some really cool scenes that are actually very realistic to what happened. Black Flag had some stuff happen as well. Rumors of how Blackbeard passed. Spoiler alert. You get to see that. Technically speaking, it happened off the shore of America. Not many people know that because everyone thinks, oh, pirates, it all happened in the Caribbean. I'm like, yeah, well, if you sail up, eventually you hit Florida, and if you keep sailing up, you're in the States.
They are.
So, and they're like, Florida's not in the States. No, Florida's in the States, okay? But I consider it's like south of Florida as a hybrid between half Caribbean, half United States, their own country, okay? Crocodiles are a lethal animal that is common as deer in the north. So I'm considering its own plane. I have respect for Floridians. This is not a jab at you. This is me saying, you're America's Australia. Good job. But there is a level where it's no longer just a wink and a jab of, ha ha ha, we're going to play around with this. This is blatantly not doing research and dropping the ball.
Mm-hmm. And I think like another thing that I dislike about it is the fact that they think that being cool and like being like a game that people have asked for, because like people have been asking to be ninjas and samurai for how long? So they think that having all these different cool aspects is just going to make up for that. Like they're not doing anything to fix it. They're just trying to pile on top of it.
Yeah, it's a disingenuous look at the gamers because they're treating us like we're fools. And if you had tried doing this 15 years ago, you could get away with it because independent journalism has taken off. Now, I watch independent journalism myself. I made Mousepad to be the entertainment / we'll call it make intelligence sexy again style of the internet. I didn't want to get political. There's going to be plenty of people that already do that. But I personally pay attention to it, and I personally will probably attempt to go on some of these talk shows because I think it'd be fun to give my 2 cents and to bring some civility to the internet. But that being said, these game companies and even Hollywood is accused of this. They try to twist a narrative saying, oh, well, it's because of this, this, and this. And then you just have a couple people on YouTube that either don't have experience but have time and energy, or a collective following who can actually do the research for them, or you have independent journalists that left journalism that actually know how to dig up stuff, that have contacts in the industry, and then they pull up more stuff, or maybe they have recordings, or they have videotape, or they have documentation, or emails, and they can't hide it. And it's good and bad. The bad being it's more chaotic, because anytime you have a lot of people talking at once, it's kind of hard to tell what's what. But at the same time, ironically, Ubisoft can't hide in the shadows anymore. I've been waiting to use that line for a while.
And like, I think, like, personally, because it is the game that it is, Assassin's Creed has made a name for itself. It is such a big focal point for I don't mean this in like a wrong way, for nerds.
Oh yeah.
We love like learning the stuff. We love like playing a part and being there for it. And I genuinely think like any other game tried to pull this, it'd be fine. No one would care. But like because they've made this name and like they've made a following of people that love the historical accuracy of the games, it's just turning fans really sour to like the entire brand altogether.
I mean, there's a reason why there's been rumors that a wealthy family is about to buy Ubisoft. Oh yeah. Like their stocks have fallen so much because I'm not going to get into Star Wars. That is that is for next podcast. But either way, we are going to touch on Ubisoft's take on that and why that actually backfired. But and before I go further, there is a difference between people judging a book by its cover when it comes to leaks. Like if a game is leaked, not intended for the public, and people are like, "Oh, that looks terrible." I'm like, "Well, no crap, it's gonna look terrible. It's not done." And it's not even like you can still leak stuff. Like you still release teasers of what is done, even though the game is not done, because you're expecting that audience to see it. But and that's where like where some game leak footage would show like bad physics. And then they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible." I'm like, "Okay, guys, not everything is a conspiracy that they're hiding stuff from you. Sometimes it is just a bad leak, and it's not their fault, and you need to be patient because this is not ready yet." And then you have the opposite, which is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking Project Red.
And where people. This is where you have a mix between bad aesthetics and bad game engine, and you have the company hiding stuff from the audience, and it's just all around bad. But that we will talk about that some other time as well. Because I love The Witcher 3, and I am a big fan of that series. And that's also with CD Projekt Red, the same people that made Cyberpunk. And I want them to stay alive. I want them to bounce back, which they have when it comes to Cyberpunk. All their updates, all their, what is it called? Quality of life improvements, their DLC, everything's great. And I'll leave it at that. Because if you like Cyberpunk lore, I love it. I think it's great. But you're talking about a bad launch. This is the same thing. Like Assassin's Creed is doing the equivalent, only it's so funny. They're like, "We must release this." And I'm like, I understand you guys need to make your money because you have to actually, you have investors and you have people you need to pay and you need to balance the budget. But if it's not ready, it's not ready. And there's a difference. In a weird way, CD Projekt Red almost gets more of an excuse not hiding it and manipulating people. That is not what I'm going for here. But when it comes to game is physically not ready, to we did no research onto what cultures we're studying. Yeah. And I think a lot of people have been, the internet's a buzz. It's a beehive. Everyone's stinging each other because if you try to call it out, you're called either racist or a purist. And if you try to defend Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're called a bot or a shill, I think is the term. But it's, I don't care if you guys call me anything. I can wipe it away. But we have to hold game companies and Hollywood to a certain level of standard. This isn't saying fantasy can't be fantasy. It's saying if you're going to do a historical accurate game, do a historical accurate game. That's all we're asking here, because Ghost of Tsushima exists. And Ghost of Tsushima, that's when you do historical accuracy properly. Because, one, they advertised the game to be essentially what a samurai movie would be, which is much more swordplay than realism, because most samurai use bows and spears. The sword was barely ever touched. Yasuke being a samurai, forget the controversy. Let's just talk combat. Assassin's Creed Shadows versus Ghost of Tsushima, because me and Alex had just talked about playing it. She had just played it.
I just started.
She just started. Meanwhile, I'm playing on lethal difficulty because I like punishing myself. But not in the bedroom, just on the game console. So I know a family member is going to hear that and go, "Oh, I didn't even know that." And I'm like, "What? That's literally saying I don't do that." Anyway, not king shaming. Anyway, so in Ghost of Tsushima, it's portrayed as when you're attacking somebody, you have a white bar over the enemy's head, and you're trying to, that is their stamina of them blocking you. And when that breaks, that's them losing their block, and then you hit them twice and they're down. On lethal difficulty. I haven't played normal in forever.
I just be chilling and button mashing.
Yeah, she's button mashing because she's playing on easy mode because, well, I mean, everyone should play on easy mode when you get started.
I'm still, like, doing the techniques as you're, like, supposed to, but it's okay to not have the timing down. And, like, yes. It's very forgiving.
Oh, it's very forgiving. It is very forgiving. Meanwhile, I have to perfect block and parry every time. And I have to switch techniques nonstop. And what I love about lethal mode is, for those of you who have not played it yet, it is the the story is the Mongols have invaded Japan. Awesome. But it is the story of Jin Sakai, who is a samurai, and his clan gets wiped. Like, his counteroffensive got wiped. And it's the juxtaposition of honorable samurai facing your enemy head on, whether you face death or not, or do you actually want to get the job done and
live?
Well, it's not even just live.
You live anyway.
Yeah, it's more so, do you want to be a ninja and kill and be dishonorable using poisons, backstabs, and subterfuge to take out this army? Because guess what? That's how America won. Yes, we had some big battles, but for the most part, we took out supply lines. We used riflemen, aka hunters, that then we said, okay, stop shooting deer, shoot that guy on a horse. And that is why officers don't wear a lot of plumage nowadays. Okay, there's no such thing as honorable warfare. Guerrilla tactics stopped that, but guerrilla tactics have been around before the invention of the firearm. And that's where Jin Sakai has this battle between him protecting his home using subterfuge or defending his honor by wielding a sword and samurai. And so when I play lethal difficulty, it's sometimes smarter to be like, oh yeah, I could take everyone on offensively, but if they hit me twice, I'm instantly dead. Or I could throw a few knives, drop a smoke bomb, poison a few, or go up to the leader without anyone knowing I'm there and assassinate them, making everybody run away. So there's a lot of different things you can do later in the game that Alex has not gotten to that organically build it up, but also organically show Sakai. Like, for instance, when you start doing sneak attacks and ghosts, you'll notice that it's brutal. It's very slow. It's like he's trying his best here. It's not like he's like, I'm sorry, as he's stabbing someone. But you can tell that's not what he's used to, right? But eventually, he'll just Italian mafia ice pick to the temple. That's the best way I could describe what he does later. It's so quick and easy. But when he gets to that point, he is also arguing against his betters. While even in the beginning, when he is hesitant, Alex, you'll see him, yes, he'll argue, but he'll also be like, you're also right. Mm-hmm. I'm trying my best here. We'll figure it out. Later down the road, he's like, this isn't working. I'm just gonna go and kill them. which everyone would be like, oh yeah, that's so metal, but it does a good job of showing you that while it's needed, it's required, but it's not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a beauty to the Bushido code of ethics, and I do love that. Now,
Another thing I love is, sorry to cut you off.
no, please.
I really appreciate the fact that they added the option like to end someone's suffering, like if they're like squirming around on the ground to end their suffering.
Yep.
I think that adds like another layer to like his character development. Like even what I don't know what word I'm trying to say right now. um, but like, cause like while it's not a requirement, like that stuff happened and like he could have chosen to do that. Like he could have chosen to end someone's suffering and like follow the code of honor where like you give someone an honorable death.
Yeah.
And like I think that was like a really cool little thing that they added to go along with like the aspect of following your code or to like accept other tactics when you need them.
Exactly. It's very well said, because when you play dirty, it's not pretty. They don't hold back. When you poison someone, they are.
It's a nasty death.
It's. So you haven't gotten to this yet. So you haven't seen the poison
I
work.
haven't.
For anyone with a weak stomach, I apologize. I'm not going to get graphic, but they essentially unload their innards through their mouth, and it makes. If you ever play Lord of the Rings, Shadow of War, or Shadow of Mordor, they're like sometimes you don't want to be overwhelmed by orcs, and sometimes it's better to scare them off. Same thing in Ghost. If you make them run away, it's the same concept of taking them out of the battle. They're not. They're out of the game. They're done. Like the game will actually make them like you can chase them down, but at a certain level, at a certain
Get back here.
I mean, you can. But oh my gosh, is that
Just the
hard?
visual I'm getting? It's great.
Well, yeah, it's so funny because you have to jump on your horse because they take off like rabbits in a snowstorm. They are gone. But I mean, you can do it. But once they get far enough, the game stops rendering them. They're just like, okay, it's over. Like they count as a death because you're clearing a camp, clearing a graveyard, you're clearing a town. It's that kind of stuff, right? So once they run away, it's essentially you win. So using poisons, I mean, think of it this way. Let's put it on a modern field, and we're defending our home because the Mongols are invading. But I'm just putting you, Alex, as like their perspective. You get sentry duty. Mm-hmm. You and someone else. We'll call him Kyle. And then every now and then, your sergeant shows up, kind of checks in on things, and you see like 2 other people kind of walking by, but you're on sentry duty at the wall. Cool. Okay. All of a sudden, with no hint of what's happening whatsoever, Kyle just doubles over, gets pale green, and just pukes black. And then falls down dead. Like, he's not puking black and going, I need to go to the hospital tent. Like, he goes, oh no, and then just starts crawling on his hands and knees, and then just keels over and dies. What are you doing?
I'm getting over there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's kind of the idea. Or if you're around your like leader and you're just like, yes, with this guy, he's gonna protect
take
us.
a look at it.
Like, this leader is gonna protect us. This guy is awesome. And then some ninja jumps from the top of your tent, comes up, just lands behind him, and with one perfect swing, lops off his head. Now, don't get me wrong, when you do that, some guys will still attack you, especially the big ones that have pikes. But the little dudes that just have a sword that are just kind of there, they're like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want the smoke. Now, I want to see how that's played in Assassin's Creed Shadows, but my point being, I watched Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there is good aspects of their stealth, and we'll go to that in a second, but their combat is vastly different. To put it, a lack of a better word, it feels, in comparison, arcadey. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate, because they're always going to have to fight against Ghost of Tsushima, right? And that's borderline unfair, but honestly, they should have done this earlier. And so they kind of, like, it's not been long since Ghost came out. Mm-mm. It's only been like 3, years,
I think so, yeah.
give or take, maybe another. But Assassin's Creed's been around. Like, they just did, what was it? I think their 20th anniversary. I'm pretty sure. Because I was a teenager when I was playing as Ezio for my little brother. And they got the voice actor to actually do a special on Ubisoft's Facebook page. So it's been around a while, and people have been asking, like, okay, we are playing Assassins. When are we getting ninjas? When are we getting ninjas? When are we getting ninjas? And they were like, okay, end of Ezio Saga. I'm kind of jumping around here. But end of Ezio Saga, they did a little like video called Embers, and they introduced a Chinese assassin. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was going to be the next Assassin's Creed game. And everyone was like, oh, sweet. We get to be a ninja. And they showed it was a 3-parter, which was a 2.5 dimension. So it's 2D, but there's some 3-dimensional aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Platformer, where you play as a Chinese assassin, a Russian assassin, and an Indian assassin.
And if you'd like to know the most disappointing thing about that, I feel like I've already told you this before, but do you know what that reminded me of?
You did during the rehearsal. Please do again.
Yeah. It reminded me of playing an old Game Boy. I believe it was on the Game Boy Advance. It was a Barbie game, like Secret Agent Barbie or something, and you have to like hide in the shadows when there's someone walking by, and then you pop back out and you go under the wall or you go over the wall, whatever you need to do. And it just felt a lot like that. Which, like, yeah, like, it was still a good game, but, like, it was kind of lackluster. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, this is where they should have had better direction. Because I understand what they were doing. They were trying to wrap up the Desmond saga. For anyone I'm trying to understand, Assassin's Creed, the main story is that they make in modern day, there's an invention that allows you to go through your memories through DNA. So the main character in the modern era, his name is Desmond. So they're trying to wrap up his story. The irony is that they're bringing him back. Mm-hmm. So this whole thing was kind of pointless. They're like, okay, this didn't work out. And these different points for learning from your mistakes, but at the same time, it's too late. And now they botched the Chinese story. They botched the Russian story, which I was like, how? Why? There's so much deep like history that you could have played with assassinations. And I honestly was expecting to see like World War II at a certain point. And we can talk about some other time, because that's I got some info. I got some info and some theories, because that could have been really good. And it would not have been far off. And one of the big ones is the Germans, when they were invading France. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, they do not sleep. They just keep going. Well, they were taking what was called Pivotin? I'm getting the name wrong. But it was made by a company that literally sounded like Templar. They're like, oh my gosh, it's already set up. It's already set up. It's a pharmaceutical industry in World War II that was essentially... Come on.
Perfect opportunity. Ubisoft.
Perfect opportunity. But just like Pirates of the Caribbean, when you try to avoid the dark history, you actually make your stories worse. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about when it comes to Jack Sparrow and the East Indian Trading Company is going to get that reference. So we jumped from, technically speaking, yes, I understand, Assassin's Creed 1, Crusades, sure, but I'm skipping that to reference combat systems, because essentially is the same combat system. You had Renaissance Italy, which at a certain point, Ezio was so powerful you could just counterattack everything, which I get it. He's a master assassin at the end of the game. Apparently a semi-automatic pistol in his hand. People who don't know this game is going to go, what? But, and then we went Assassin's Creed 3, which was American Revolution. We introduced more gunfire. We introduced musket lines. And then we went backwards, but with a good take, because everyone goes, it's a great pirate game, not the best Assassin's game. I argue, I think it's actually the best Assassin's Creed game, and we'll talk about that some other time if you want. We only have so much room for recording. But that was Black Flag, where you played as a pirate. And then we went...
Origins?
No, you were jumping.
I am
way
jumping.
ahead. So Black Flag, we introduced ship combat. Technically speaking, 3 introduced ship combat, but Black Flag, it was its core. Then we did the... It was the Canadian... it was Assassin's Creed Rogue, and you play as a Templar, but you're introducing a lot more firepower. You're introducing the grenade launcher, different tactics. So the game then progressed, and then after that, we did Unity. Mm-hmm. That's its own story of a botched launch, but that's because of multiplayer, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And then from Unity, which is during the early 1800s, we then went late 1800s, which is in the Industrial Revolution, and we went to Britain. And
so Syndicate, point, right?
Yeah, Syndicate. Yeah. And we had semi-automatic revolvers. Like, you could literally just GTA it. I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like, once you got a good gun, you could just shoot the enemy. You're like, oh, I could, like, before, it was like, I have to wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. And the other one was just, well, he's right there. Bam, headshot. Like, it was just... I understand, like, it cut out some of the nuance of it, and all of a sudden the cut seemed to be, like, right over the target, like he did stab the person. But it still was fun. I enjoyed it. And then they even did, like, a DLC to that game where you played in World War I, defending London. And I loved that. And that's where I thought we were going World War II. We were just going to keep rising. But then they changed it. And they went completely 180, and instead of going more modern, they went ancient. We went before the Crusades. We went before everything. We went Cleopatra, Mark Antony, and Julius Caesar era in Egypt.
Origins.
With Assassin's Creed Origins. So controversy. When that game came out, I was like, this is an Assassin's Creed. This is Warrior's Honor. It was... Now looking back at it, it's a great game. Every game has its problem. This one would be the level cap. At a certain point, you have to level up a lot. And I'm like, that is so stupid. Mm-hmm. And destroys the pacing of the game. And then we have Alex's favorite that comes next. Odyssey. Which is literally on the chronological order, is the earliest one, because you were playing during the Pedonic, I'm going to say that word wrong, the Peloponnesic Wars, which was Sparta versus Athens. This is... Your grandfather was Leonidas. Spoilers. So you do see that, but it's not 300. You're not playing 300. You're playing the first... I do have to give credit. You play during the era of the first historian, Homer, and Herodotus. Mm-hmm. They were the first loggers of actual history of how it was recorded without embellishment. Homer embellished the hell out of it, but Herodotus actually tried finding like as much realism as history as he could. And I like how they did that, and how he was companion, just like how long time ago you had Leonardo da Vinci as the companion to the other assassin. But having a historian chronologically actually record data as it's happening as your companion makes the most sense out of all the historical companions that I can think of, to be honest. Because of course the historian would be like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with you. You're the one doing things. I'm writing it down. That made the most sense to me. And while some people love it, some people hate it, I have always loved Greco-Roman, Greco-Greek culture and ancient Greece. I literally have statues of Greek gods, and necklace and like symbols of them, because I grew up watching Troy and watching all kinds of cheesy swords and sandals movies. Clash of
And
the
the way
Titans.
that they like included the mythology, it was just so tasteful. It was
It was.
chef's kiss.
It made, and as weird as it was, while in the Egyptian game Origins, there was at mid game a really bad level cap that stopped the pacing. I never felt that. Odyssey never had bad pacing, in my opinion. If you enjoyed playing it, because I enjoyed playing Origins, and then all of a sudden the leveling hit you, and you're like, why do I have to level up 10 times before going into this town? Like, it didn't like stop you like a barrier. It's just everything was too hard. You could, if you're good enough, any game that is worth its salt, it's kind of like the Dark Souls theory. If you're good enough, it doesn't matter what level it is. And that's how Odyssey played. Odyssey, yes, it is a lot easier if you level up your character. But if you master the parry, you master the roll, you know how to swap weapons, you know how to use elements, you know how to use your environment, you're good. And on top of that, there's so much side activities that it's not Witcher 3 level deep side activities, but they're fun. They're entertaining, and they level you up quickly.
And there's so many of them.
That is sometimes a flaw.
Depending, because like I loved being able to just wander around, and no matter like once I had like beaten the game, I could just go anywhere and find a side quest that I hadn't already done.
Yeah. No, definitely. 100%. And then we get to how that's not supposed to be done. Because when you're playing a Greek mercenary, Mystios, it makes sense that you're not crawling around because, yeah, getting the drop on somebody is different than hiding in the mud and throwing poisonous snakes at somebody. You're not really a warrior at that point because you're supposed to play a hybrid between an archer, a stealthy person, and a Spartan warrior all at the same time. Tell me where in the hell a Greek Viking was sneaking around going, I must assassinate this one person. Ever. And here's the thing. You in Assassin's Creed always can go, no, we're playing as the good guy. To a certain extent. Even if you're like, yes, death is bad, war is bad, and there are no good guys. But at the same time, you can go, no, I mean, yeah, if we had to pick a side, it'd be this side. This is when I started noticing Ubisoft not paying attention. They're like, oh, let's do Nordic Vikings. And I'm like, cool. I love it. Because everyone loves Vikings. Well, it wasn't... Okay. If you took away the Hidden Blade, and you took away the assassinations, and you took away this other part I'm going to mention in a second, this is my point, then it would have been a perfect game. Because...
So if you take away everything that makes it Assassin's Creed...
Well, the director of Assassin's Creed actually said the original idea of Assassin's Creed was to be a historical exploration of an ancient era. Not necessarily so focused on ancient civilizations. And when I say ancient, I mean like prehistory. Like we're talking their technology, their artifacts are technology.
Yeah, like in Assassin's Creed, it's the Isu.
It's the Isu. And there's always like an ancient civilization that has something that's borderline magic because their technology is so advanced. They're like, we didn't want to focus on that originally, and we didn't want to focus on the cults or the secret orders that manipulate history in the background. We want to just focus on history as a whole and going around these environments. And on paper, that's great. But if you're going to do that, two things. One, acknowledge your past. And I don't mean real past. I mean your corporate past. You created this thing. So the idea of just giving you a heads up, anyone who has not picked this game up, there is paper thin reason why he is an assassin. Paper thin. In fact, you have to play the next game for it to even make sense, which is terrible. Secondly, I then had a revelation and was disgusted because I realized, oh, to level up, I have to go raid monasteries. Let me break that down for you. I, as a Viking, have to go and raid a British monastery which is literally monks worshiping Christ for wealth. How am I the good guy? I get it. You're historically playing what a Viking did during that era, but it felt very icky. It wasn't like, oh, you're all of a sudden now a Templar, the other side of the assassins, the bad guys, depending on your point of view. And that's fine, because that's what Assassin's Creed Rogue was. You played as a Templar, and it was upfront about it, and it also made the assassins not look that good. It worked. You're not making me look good by raiding monasteries. The trailer made it look like you were saving people from the British law. That's not what it is. You're coming down from Norway and going, we will settle here, and we're going to assault local settlements for their wealth. What are we doing? Because in history, the main bad guy... No, in the game, the main bad guy, in reality of history, actually unified Britain to be Britannia. He's essentially King Arthur, and you're fighting him. It just feels icky.
Honestly, I think the reason why they just came out with Valhalla, period, was because there was such a big Viking kick going on. All of the shows that were coming out and everything, it was just to cater to the masses. And I mean, at least it had more historical accuracy than Shadows, I guess. But it just felt too catering, and I feel like that was part of why I couldn't get into it. I still played it for the most part, but it felt
I got bored
out there. Yeah.
I could not. There was no connectivity to the story. Let me speed run the motivations of these characters. Okay, Ezio during the Renaissance, his family gets wiped out in a conspiracy. He then goes on a vengeful quest. Awesome. Next one is Connor. He is half British, half Native American. His tribe gets wiped out by a bunch of Templars and goes on a quest to get vengeance and learns about the assassins. Then helps out the American Revolution and learns about culture. Awesome. Next one, Edward Kenway. Pirate. Seeks out wealth. Gets trapped in the middle between the assassins and the Templars. He's still being a pirate and after himself, but then goes through a hero's journey of learning, hey, maybe wealth in myself and I should fight for something else. There you go. That's the story in a nutshell. Okay. All these guys have motivations. Assassin's Creed Origins. Your son is murdered. Your toddler. I'm sorry. I can't really do above toddler. He's 7.
Yeah, he's young.
He's young, but he's not toddler.
He's not a baby, nah.
Yeah, it's right there. He's a kid. He's a child. Mm-hmm. He is straight up murked. And so you, best voice actor, by the way, who portrays that, because you have to voice act.
You have to dig down deep to have that emotion.
Yeah, and you hear it. You feel it. I was like, oh, well, I have to step away. I might get teary-eyed. It's not sad. It's so intense. But the motivations are there. Honestly, it's not the same as that level of intensity because you're classically thrown off a cliff as a Spartan child.
Basically orphaned.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as you know.
Exactly. It is literally an Odyssey. I have to give the game credit. It really lives to its title. If you ever read the Odyssey, if you ever read Illithid, if you ever read anything Greek, it touches on it so well as a theme that, yes, the motivations are there. It's not as Shakespearean as Origins. When I say Shakespearean, I mean a good way, not as in over the top. Origins is over the top in the right way because you're a father doing vengeance for his son. And then you get to Valhalla, and I cared while you were in Norway. Remember that? You start in Norway, and it's this big thing. And I'm like, okay, there's I understand the clans, I'm understanding ostracizing, I understand all these things. And they're like, oh, well, we don't like the government that's coming out of Norway. Let's move to Britain. And I'm like, okay, so all the controversy that you've built up, we are just ignoring that and leaving. We're just deucing out. Okay, are we playing Minecraft? Because that's what it felt like for a second. I was like, are we just... We don't need to raid villages to do this, guys. You do realize that, right? Like, that's what blew my mind, is they're like, yes, we're going to raid these villages for wealth. I was like, what do you mean? What? Why? Why are we doing this? Is it because it's just our culture? We just go on raids? Okay, then lead with that. But we didn't. It was a whole, like, we're building our settlement, and we're also building this new nation, even though there already was a nation here. It blew my mind, and of how forced it was, and how it didn't feel like its own story. It felt very much like they just haphazardly threw this together. And don't get me wrong, I hear that the whole ESO story is the best it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to go to the end of the game and then play the next game in order to get all of it. And I'm like, then that's not really a story, guys. Why am I spending... I am not immortal. I only have so many days on this earth, all right? Why should I play that game? Right? And then Mirage came out, and this is not an insult. This is me just straight up saying I didn't have the time or energy for it. I appreciate it. They're like, we're going back to the hidden ones. We're going back to assassins. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Baghdad looked beautiful, by the way.
It really did.
It really does. But then I saw the combat. And it looked... Prince of Persia from PlayStation 2 had better combat, guys. That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, what are we going to do next? Let's finally do what everyone's been asking for. Ninjas. Okay? We're going to do 2 characters. And one of them, one, might not have been historically accurate. We've talked about that in the beginning. And 2, the other one is... How do I say this? Female ninjas were a thing. They were very rare. Very, 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 very rare. If you understand Japanese culture, and you understand ancient Japanese culture, pretty much watch Mulan and know that that's not how that happened. So, while I'm like, oh yeah, it's a fiction, it's also historical fiction, and when we get to play as the samurai... Even if you take away the controversy, we have Ghost of Tsushima to reference, and they tried doing something interesting. They did we whittled down the armor of our enemies. That's cool. That's different. Neat. And he's not even just using a normal katana, which is actually accurate. He uses a cudgel. I'm going to use Western medieval terms, so bear with me. He uses a greatsword. He uses a cudgel. He uses a spear. And I'm like, that's actually accurate. No, for 100%. That was very accurate. I was genuinely surprised when he pulled out a cudgel. And I was like, oh, you don't know what a cudgel is? It's a giant baseball bat with not spikes, but rounded balls on it. It's meant to dent and pierce and break down armor. Or straight up break a sword. Like, it's a bat, okay? Like, it's like, I have a knife. I have a baseball bat made of aluminum. Come at me. Like, that's essentially what it is. And so I was all for it. Honestly, I was. I was like, okay, take away the controversy. I don't really care. It's a video game. I don't give a shit. So I saw that, and that was cool. But then they showed me, what's her name, Alex? Naue. Her combat weapon, and they were smart. They're like, she is not made for open combat. Okay, cool. How do we deal with that? We give her own unique weapons. Why? Because if she's not made for open combat, then why are you giving your open combat weapons? Because
Because it looks cool.
Right, but that's the point. It's like they take one step forward and two steps back. They're doing style over substance now. Because they give her, and I forget how to pronounce this, so I'm just going to describe it. It's a kunai that has a rope attached to it. If you don't know what a kunai is, it's a straight... Actually, I have one. Give me 2 seconds. Where are you? There. Okay. Perfect. Gosh, I have way too many weapons. All right. This is a kunai. I hope we don't get demonetized with me showing a knife, okay? But if you look, it's made to actually have a rope attached to it. Some kunais actually just have long stick. If anyone who watched Naruto, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But they are essentially that. They are a throwing knife or a stabbing knife. But they are not meant to be a main tool of battle. They're a tool, but they're meant to be fast release. You throw them, they're meant to kind of nullify your enemy, distract them, wound them, cripple them, that kind of thing. And then
you get them with a different weapon.
Or you run.
Yeah.
Which is actually what the kunai is for. Here's the thing that people don't quite understand. They're like, oh, shuriken, throwing stars. Okay, sure, you can't hit somebody in the head. Do you know how hard to do, like how hard that is when someone is actively looking at you? One, it's a disc. If you don't throw that right, it's going to frisbee out and just move away. Okay? Shuriken were meant that you would throw it on the ground, and then as they're running, their robe would catch it. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Kunai was meant where you threw it at their foot, and you pin their foot to the ground. Or you throw it at their knee, or something. Because most people are guarding their, front. Okay? And if you're throwing a knife at somebody when they're running away, you're not really doing that much damage. I don't know if you know physics, but a wide blade doesn't go deep, people. So she has one that's on a rope and she's swinging around and hitting a bunch of guys. One, that's bullshit because it's going to wrap around them. And then it hits bamboo and 50 bamboo all fall. And I'm just like...
That's not how that works.
Bamboo's fibrous as hell. It's thick. There's literally a challenge of you cutting through
hurts.
And it hurts. People use it for building. People use it for weapons. You can't just cut that with this. So that's where I was like, is that the early release? No, that was actually on purpose. That's actually what it's supposed to be. And I was like, oh my god. So they go one step forward and two step back, and I don't really know how to give them any more leeway. Oh, when it comes to all this, we've kind of given you a lot to digest and a lot of rants and a lot of comparisons. In the end, the big question is, why are people fired up about this game? Of course, there's multiple facets to that. One of them we've already touched, which is we're into ninjas and Assassin's Creed, and why have I not done this, and how they keep on trying to pander to fans without realizing that the more you pander to something, the less
authentic
value.
It is.
What was that?
Authentic. It doesn't feel as authentic.
Exactly. It doesn't feel that authentic. And when it doesn't feel realized or authentic, it is a footnote in history. Think of it this way. Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think that game will ever die. It's not historically accurate if you really break it down. It's meant to be an homage to samurai movies, while referencing the real Mongol invasion. But no, one samurai didn't go rogue, become a ninja, and decide to wipe out all those guys.
Single-handedly.
What actually happened was a tsunami came and wiped out the Mongol fleet. Fun read, check it out. But that they weren't claiming to be. They knew what they were advertising, they knew what they were actually putting down, and they delivered. Okay? If Assassin's Creed Shadows, this is not a racial thing or a sexist thing, but just hear me out. If they had just released this concept 10 years ago, one protagonist. Similar idea of Ghost of Tsushima, where he's a samurai and then his clan gets killed and then he gets adopted by an assassin from the Assassin's Creed Order. That would have made billions. That would have made billions. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to do all these, well, we have to get all I'm going to say is, when you play as Yasuke, there is literal hip-hop beat music.
What?
Look it up.
I did. What?
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Because you're not, like you said, it's not authentic. It's not authentic. It's pushing that it's activism, not political art. And that's something we talked about last time when we did our rehearsal. There is a difference between pushing activism, political activism in your game, mm-hmm. and actually having political art. One of your favorite games, Detroit Become Human.
Yep.
Talks about the reliance on technology and on segregation and human rights. It is not ham-fisted. Some people joke, it's like, oh, it's so on the nose. I'm like, not really, because if you take the ideas away, as in if you don't mention that, it's its own weird postmodern cyberpunk game. Right? It's postmodernism. Yeah. It's not like full-blown cyberpunk, but it's definitely got some cyberpunk aspects with the technology and like corporate overlord. But it's not that heavy. But it is, my dad is such a retro gamer, he doesn't touch them. But if I was to make him play something, I would make him play Detroit Become Human. Because the controls are simple. It is a easily understandable game with a simple fictional concept that makes you think. And that's the point of political art. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to make you think. It's not supposed to browbeat you with, this is right, and if you disagree, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay? We're not talking about fighting the evil dictatorship in World War II. We're talking about concepts of race and identity, and if you disagree, you're immediately evil. That we are very divided as a people, as a nation, and as a world. That this is one of the reasons I made Mousepad not political. I'm trying to bring everybody in so we can discuss, and we're supposed to represent and enjoy beauty and art, and realize we're not all going to agree with things, but as long as we all are okay with human rights, we're all okay with freedom and freedom of expression, even if that expression we don't agree with. You do you, man. You do you. And a lot of people have brought up different art projects. I will go ahead and throw Disney under the bus. And when they created, what was it? The Acolyte? Mm. My favorite is when you make a product, your political message, which wasn't originally that, it is forced. It's not authentic. And it feels like you're pandering. And when you pander, you lose everybody else who wasn't into that. When they released shirts that said the Force is female, hear me out. If Star Wars originally had, whenever the Force talked to Luke Skywalker and it was a female narrator, and then a shirt came out saying the Force is female, is it on the nose? Sure. But I don't care because it made sense with the context of the world. It's not supposed to have a sex. It's the energy that binds all living things. And you're saying, if I'm male, then I don't have the Force? Are you insane? So here's another thing. When you go down the road of taking an art form, such as Assassin's Creed, which is supposed to be about history is not the way that it's normally written, as in the motto is everything is true. No, everything is permitted. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. I had a brain fart, and that's sad because I was going to get that tattooed on me. But the whole point of that is that what we read in the history books is not necessarily 100% how it went down. Right? At best, we can hope that 80% is accurate.
And we know that for a fact because we've had people who they looked at their kids' textbooks when they were in school. And they're like, that's not how that happened.
Yeah.
That's a regular occurrence.
Yeah. And Assassin's Creed 3 did a great job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they did a fantastic job of that because you were thinking about it, was like, oh yeah, American patriotism, and then it slapped you in the face. They're like, yeah, you're allowed to be patriotic, but also realize
this happened.
Well, it's not that. It's like the founders weren't the best people. Like some of them were good. Like the idea. So what they did is they were like, oh no, John Adams is cool. They kind of did that. Yeah. Which, if you look at history, no, he was. He also was kind of a drunken frat boy. But he also was kind of the cool one. Benjamin Franklin was kind of the cool, chill one. Like that. It's kind of they were the ones that aren't as famous. Funny enough, are the ones that were pretty chill and kind of a main focal point. But Jefferson, Washington, the ones that we revere high in American history culture, and they're like, oh yeah.
By the way,
I love it. Well, they were slave owners. I'm like, everyone was a slave owner. That's not what I'm talking about here. Yes, it's bad, but that's not what we're touching out here.
If they didn't, they were just too poor to.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is not the 1800s.
It's just era. It's just the era of the time.
It was the era. And there were different ways of how that actually worked that we can talk about some other time. I would love to bring in an actual historian who talked about that, because I went to a Catholic school where we did all of our classes in one classroom with one teacher, and she was African American who knew her descendants perfectly, and actually could recall the different types of slave owners and how they actually handled different things. And you had the worst of the worst, and I'm putting in air quotes here for people who are just listening, the best of the best when it comes to that. And usually what that means is they weren't
as harsh.
It's like medieval serfs.
Oh, okay.
It's we don't. There's no punishments. There's no reparations, like repercussions. There's no dehumanizing, and there's also education system. So you had a very different take on depending on who is doing what. And I believe, technically speaking, I know for a fact this is in the history books. Civil War, the person who ran the Confederate Army had slaves, but he inherited it from his wife's family. His family did not own them. He just married into it, and then he changed his policy. So no, we're doing this, this, and this. They're going to learn how to read, write, do all this stuff. But then he got ostracized and pretty much killed later after the war happened. That was a whole thing. You can read up on that. Yeah, Civil War is rough, man. But it's funny how we just twist things because of emotions and narratives. And so when you have something that happened like the whole Yasuke fiasco, or you had something that happened in any sort of culture of any sort of art medium, and emotions rise because of people who are affected by that past, they can be manipulated by people who use activism as a means of income. Mm-hmm. And it all boils down to, are you able to do your own research and realize not everybody who is on your side is actually on your side? And so I've had to have my eyes opened. I've had to be kind of humbled and realize, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was manipulated, and I have to admit that. And that's another reason why I'm Mousepad's not going to be political. We're staying away from it. We will do editorials on it eventually when more stuff comes out as time goes on. But it's so toxic right now. The only reason I am mentioning it is because Assassin's Creed did it. It's because our nerd culture has done it to us. I actually talked to Sorcery Alley in the car the other day about the difference of political art versus activism in gaming. And activism in gaming, it can't be so ham-fisted to where it's bad. And the best way I can think of, the worst example recently, was Dragon Age.
I didn't play it.
Well, they introduced a non-binary character. Okay, cool. One, why did they make their personality a bully?
I think I remember you saying we chatted about this.
They made their personality just mean and bitter and an ass, and it wasn't. You ever played Baldur's Gate?
I tried it, but it's a lot for me, especially as someone who hasn't played D&D.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
it was a lot for me to take in, so it just felt really overwhelming.
Then I won't use that metaphor. But I have non-binary friends, and I'm dyslexic, and I try my best. Honestly, Dragon Age Origins, there's a non-binary character who, one, they made her insufferable. When I say her, I'm sorry.
Them.
I try my best here. For anyone who doesn't know, to give you a little background on myself before I get the hate thrown at me, I had to go to special school because I could barely talk. So what's happening right now, I'm saying it twice in my head and it's coming out. And I had to have the crap beaten out of me in order for this to work. And I will do a discussion about that some other time, but I'm going to mess up pronouns, I'm going to mess up speech patterns, and I'm going to slur my words when I go too fast. So I am asking for forgiveness, but also saying if anyone really doesn't care about my disability, then you can... This is not me saying, please pander to me. This is saying, I'm going to make mistakes. Let it go.
Yeah, he doesn't mean any kind of offense. As someone who is non-binary, I can attest to that. He is a very considerate person. He's genuine, and he doesn't mean any offense. Just let him know. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, I will try my best. So this character, and I forgot their name, but the company presents them like an ass, like a bully, like they are insulting their companions, they're calling them names, they're like other companions to go, no, stop calling me that nickname, my name is blank. And then this non-binary character would go, I don't care, F you, or I guess I will. But then goes to her family and goes, I'm non-binary, at like a dinner. And then the family is like, oh, we have a name for that, it's this. And she's like, that's not what it is, it's this, this, and this. Okay, this is getting awkward. Another scene, one companion misgenders this character. They get called out for it. And then without you having a choice on whether or not dialogue you use, this companion who misgendered goes, well, I need to do push-ups because I must punish myself in order. I'm like, are you... This is why no one takes your activism seriously, because we can't. You have ruined it by not understanding how to present it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's too on the nose, and if it's not done well, then it's toxic.
Yeah, like there's a way to do representation without making a butt of yourself.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they did. Like, people can make jokes about, oh, well, the characters look trash and ugly compared to these games. And honestly, that's art. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Who cares? We can have a discussion about the concept of beauty in art as a whole when it comes to capitalism, populationism.
And I think that's kind of a cop-out because, like, there are pixelated games that are still amazing, incredible games that I would play over a game that looks like it was, like even though it's animated, it's actual people. There's definitely like critiques to be made, like, because visuals isn't the only thing that makes a game beautiful.
That's exactly right. And I think that's where we should end it, because
probably we've said so much.
We've said so much. We have some editing to do.
Oh yeah, we do. All right, before we go, I would like to make a prediction for how Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to release. So I believe that it's going to be very similar to when Hogwarts Legacy came out. Not for the same reasons, but I believe it's going to have a very similar situation where a lot of people aren't going to want to give money to the company for this little bowl of melting pot that we did not ask for. And I think a lot of people are just going to pirate the game. I think they're going to take a serious hit as far as sales go. This might be the downfall of the company. Who knows?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. With all the delays, and then Star Wars, what was it called? Ubisoft made a Star Wars game that was supposed to be kind of like The Witcher for Star Wars.
Yeah, it was like the Lone Survivor or something like that. Something along those
No,
lines.
that's different.
Oh wait,
not everyone. Honestly,
Outlaws.
Yeah, that's it.
That
Outlaws.
one.
Because Lone Survivor and the follow-up to that one, that actor is amazing. So let's just give him props.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one had which name.
Right, no. Secondly, it's essentially a Firm Software game as a Star Wars game. And if you don't know what Firm Software, it's Dark Souls. So it's a Dark Souls game for Star Wars. And I'm like, that just sounds fun. That sounds amazing. And so I've seen gameplay. That's all great. We have to give props where props is due. But if you look at Outlaws, one, I don't know what they're doing with their character design. I'm not saying it's ugly. I'm not saying it's beautiful. I'm saying she doesn't look human. Period. It's very odd. There's some shots where you're just like, did this go through a quality control test? What's going on here? And then their movement and combat, the stormtroopers will literally lose you if you run into a bush. And I know stormtrooper aim is bad, but it's not that bad.
Is it bonk your head in the elevator bad?
A little bit. Not bad. They've actually they really did hammer home that the whole reason the stormtroopers have bad aim is because of the old helmets. They really did do that, and I do think that's funny that they actually in meta actually did that. But now we're getting way off topic. But thank you all for listening. We hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that everything gets edited properly, and I hope that this episode doesn't date too hard. But my name is Josh. I am the founder and starter of MousePad, and soon we will have other types of content, and eventually we will have our own content creator platform for content creators and models and other things down the pipeline for funsies. Alex?
Yeah, I'm super excited for this journey. It's gonna be a long, bumpy road, but we're riding it through to the end. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the publication. I'm excited for everything. The Gag Order Gaming. It's gonna be such a fun production, and we're all it's a team, and we're all putting efforts in everywhere. So you guys are gonna see a bunch of our faces everywhere across the whole company. And it's a journey, and we're happy to be on it with you.
And I'm gonna end off on more a little bit of a somber note, not too sad. We're going to have other people here. There is one person who is going to be here, and he is a gig driver, so he does Lyft, Uber, the whole 9 yards. His car completely totaled. And then we had another person who is living in South Carolina during this wildfire, and I would love to set up a just how Game Grumps did a shout out to them for this idea. They did a Twitch stream for charity to actually do charity support for the wildfires. We're on the East Coast, and so and we had not started yet before when the California fires happened, or else we would have done that too. But I would love to actually do that eventually, and so keep tabs on us. We will be posting our links. Check out the Linktree. We have our own Twitch. We have our own Twitter. I'm building stuff as we go. I'm doing this all by when I say all by myself, you know what I mean. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a very small team effort.
It's a very small team effort. So I just thank everyone who's helped me, and I'm thanking all my fans. So like and subscribe, repost if you find clips that you think are funny. I'm giving you guys full reign to record and copy over if you wish. Don't take my words out of context. Please, God. Please, please don't. Okay? I know there's going to be trolls out there, but I'm asking politely. If you have to, make it funny. Just make it funny, okay? I will take it on the chin if you just make it funny. All right, guys. Thank you all. Live easy. Keep it cheesy.